do you think that this is it? This is the end of all the parasitic stuff? And I keep imploring people to not be complacent. And
not be complacent.
Exactly, because sure, Donald Trump is a huge doorstop to all the insanity. But here's the analogy I like to draw. So you know how there's the evolution of the superbug that comes about because of the misapplication of the antibiotic regimen?
Yes.
So what happens basically? I mean, it literally is a natural selection experiment, right? So so because I'm supposed to take the antibiotics for 5 days, but I only take it for 2 days, and I immediately feel a lot better, I stop taking it. But what that has created is that the weak bacteria have died off, whereas the ones that have survived until that point have only become stronger. And through the misapplication of the prescription for antibiotics, I then contribute to the evolution of the superbug. Right. So I argue, so I'm analogizing now with the woke mind virus. It's if you don't completely do the antibiotic regimen fully, which in this case means eradicating all those parasitic ideas everywhere, right? Because it took 50 to 100 years for those bad ideas to originally be spawned and flourish in the university ecosystem.
Right.
So you're not going to get rid of them in a 4-year term with Donald Trump and we never see them again.
Right.
So it has to be a continuous cultural war to eradicate those. Now, you'd like to think that it won't take 50 to 100 years to eradicate them, but it's not going to start and end with Trump.
Right.
I'm thinking you agree with that, yes?
No, I definitely do agree with that. And I think that it's also, you have to take into consideration, although Trump won and Trump is controlling the cabinet and all these different people are going to be able to do his agenda, you still have almost half the country that didn't vote for him. So, and people are always tribal, and so they're going to be opposed to everything, even the good things that he's doing. They're going to find fault in it. Did you see the CBS interview with J.D. Vance?
Just one clip.
Fucking amazing.
Oh, so I should watch the whole thing?
Oh my God, it's a masterclass. He just
he is
he's
impressive.
So good.
He is really good.
He's good.
Has he been on your show?
Yes. Yeah, he's great. Thank God for that guy. He's so good at dismantling those dopey people.
Yeah.
And just breaking down, like she was like, this is a country built on immigrants. He's like, yes. That doesn't mean that 240 years later we have to have the dumbest immigration policy possible.
Well, and so actually in my forthcoming book that I'm trying to wrap up now, Suicidal Empathy, I have a section where I talk about these kinds of immigration arguments. And I use something from cognitive psychology. It's called categorization theory. How do you categorize something? So when people say, you're such a hypocrite, Gad, you're an immigrant. Why are you railing against immigrants? Your buddy Elon Musk is an immigrant. And so then I usually give them the following analogy, satirical analogy, but a valid one. I say, Fido, the house cat, is a feline. So is the male lion in the African jungle. They're both called feline. Therefore, I'm just as likely to want to snuggle when I go on a safari in Namibia next to the feline called the house, the male lion. No, I recognize that even though they're both called feline, there is a distinction between the two. I don't categorize them as an exemplar of the same identity. Whereas what these people play is, you're an immigrant, why do you rail against immigrants?
Right.
So isn't it astonishing that you could have such shoddy thinking that you're unable to recognize what I just said?
It is, but it's, again, it goes back to this tribal thing, is that people don't want to admit that having an open border is going to let in terrorists.
Yeah.
Because the previous administration, which was Democratic, had essentially an open border policy.
Yeah.
And it was based on this concept of empathy.
Yeah.
And you have sanctuary cities like New York. And then as soon as the mayor opposes it, well, guess what? He gets indicted. Like, it's all so transparent. It's so crazy. It's right in front of your face. And so I don't understand what they're doing. And, you know, there's a lot of arguments. They're doing it for cheap labor. They're doing it to get votes. They're doing it for whatever they're doing. You're making things less safe. And to oppose getting rid of cartel members and gang members and criminals and pedophiles and serial killers, to oppose getting rid of them and deporting them is just nuts.
Well,
it doesn't make any sense.
The perfect example of this kind of parasitic idea and suicidal empathy